In playing with and against this card, it is just clear that this card is absolutely bonkers, even if you're throwing small things. But what if we threw big things? Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today John has sent me kind of an interesting idea. John watched my recent Broadside Bombardiers video, in which I just absolutely ate people alive with this card, and kind of had a thought. What if we went bigger with the things that we threw, and we don't necessarily have to pay full mana value for that stuff? Legacy is known to be a format where you kind of cheat on mana in some capacity, be that with an Ancient Tomb, an Aether Vial, Delve cards, reanimates on large creatures. It's kind of a fundamental element of Legacy. You try to circumvent the normal Magic rules in some capacity. And reanimate on cards like Troll of Khazad-dûm and Grief has become very, very common to the format. So John has essentially proposed, what if we play a black-red scam deck that is also playing our good bomb-wielding friend? So we can throw the Furies, the Griefs, and the Trolls that we reanimate for massive damage. And assuming we get in an attack with like the Bombardier and a Troll or something like that and then throw it, we might be looking at like a one-turn clock in some scenarios, or, you know, 2 at the outside edge. Like, that is very powerful. But a deck like this doesn't really exist in Legacy, at least not yet. So we're going to be kind of brewing from the ground up here. And John sent me what I think is a good start. I've polished it up a bit. Let's take a look at the whole thing. So for those of you keeping track at home, this is a deck that I cleaned up the mana base on and adjusted the sideboard for, but this main deck is essentially, you know, John's baby, not mine. So the idea is to play the cards that you would expect to see from a modern scam deck, Not Dead after all, alongside the Legacy power level Reanimate. So the goal is, some strong portion of the time, you get to turn 1 Grief or Fury, and then you have 8 ways to bring it back. The Not Dead After Alls are not particularly strong, except when you have one of these elementals. But if we are maxing out on the 8 elementals, then I think it's fine to be running those. It is a consistent plan. And kind of on that note, sort of like how you see red-white initiative deck lists that are featuring 4th Aerlingas just as a wonderful card to put under a Chrome box, we have some copies of both the new Molten Collapse and the classic Culligan's Command to round out our deck here. So we are at 24 mana sources plus Spirit Guides. We are at 28 mana sources, and these Trolls are also kind of like half mana sources, depending on how you conceptually want to count those. I wonder how this is going to... I shouldn't be counting these. That feels better. Yeah, so it's 24 mana sources. No, that sounds better. All right, ignore what I was just saying. We're also going to have Fable of the Mirror Breaker to go and kind of loot through some of the things like Not Dead After All that are going to be situational. And we are a 2-color Blood Moon deck, which is a little awkward playing only 2 swamps. Honestly, I think John was more worried about this than I was, because Troll of Khazad-dûm is just your way to get your basic swamp through a Blood Moon. And if you kind of look at the black pips here, like the core of your deck with like the Broadsides and the Fables and the Blood Moons is red. So even if you're off black mana for a little while, I don't know how much that really ultimately matters. The sideboard, I've kind of targeted specific things here. We have some Thoughtseizes to supplement the Griefs that we see in Game 1. We have some Graveyard Hate, some generic counterspells, and some additional copies of Magus of the Moon as additional Blood Moons for the times that we think that is relevant. This deck is going to maybe have a little bit more flexibility than a straight mono red deck would have. That will come at the cost of worse mana. We'll kind of see how that shakes out over the course of the day. But we are only on the 4 Ancient Tombs. We're not on Ancient Tomb plus City of Traders. And we have like Troll and Chrome Mox and Spirit Guide to help fix. I think it's going to be okay overall. So let's see how it feels in practice. If you end up wanting to buy any of these cards to play in one of your local events, check out Cool Stuff Inc. and use promo code ThrabenU to save 5% on your next order. And as always, if you want to try out this deck list, it's available in the video description, as is all my donation deck list information if you want to get one of your own decks on the channel. Let's do this. Okay. So from a philosophical standpoint, I do not believe that a Blood Moon on its own is a keepable hand. Is a Blood Moon with a Fury that can wipe an initial set of creatures that are put into play before the Blood Moon reasonable? And that I don't know. I'm going to whack Keep. I think this one's a little sketch, but I have no matches with this deck under my belt yet. I think I am supposed to lead on Ancient Tomb, as I don't care if this Ancient Tomb eats a Wasteland. Blooded Strand, sure. And Badlands. This is a slightly awkward situation in that I really need to play this Blood Moon this turn, but like this could represent my basic swamp. I think I'm just going to do this off the Badlands. That way, if this spell does get countered, I can still fetch basic swamp later. Tundra. Specifically Tundra into Blood Moon. Oh. Why didn't you put basics in your deck? Basics are really fucking good. Board in. 2 more copies of Magus of the Moon. From there, I think it's hard to know what we want. Like, this could be a 4-color beans control deck list. This could be some sort of like cephalid breakfast deck. Pyroblasts are reasonable. Thoughtseizes aren't crazy. Shoulder's Edict, not crazy. I think I'm going to get rid of 2 of these for 2 Magus of the Moon. Like, if I'm playing against white removal, some of this, like, Not Dead After All, Reanimate stuff just is going to naturally be worse. I think I'm going to try something like this for this game. All right. I've got a turn 1 Blood Moon again. If I draw a black card, I can Grief to protect it even. Ooh, a black card. Play this out first for days purposes. Yeah, you can brainstorm in response. Please tuck your reactionary spells into your deck. Ah, those sure as fuck aren't basics. Take Force of Will. Lose Grief. Chrome Mox. Imprint Spirit Guide. Moon. GG's. Well played. Put basics in your deck. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, which is an absolutely awesome place to keep all of your deck lists. I keep all of my personal deck lists there as well, in addition to all of the stuff that I do for the stream. And in the future, they're going to have a social media site on here too. So if you're worried about other certain websites dying, maybe join Moxfield, put your deck lists up there, and in the future, you'll be there for social media stuff too. So if I am willing to go kind of all in on a 3/3 double striker on turn 1, that is a thing that this hand can do. I think for science, I do it. Play a creature. Play a creature, I dare you. Play Dragon Rage Channeler. Oh, the fool. Yeah, that's fine. They can also just like Lightning Bolt this Fury, and I'll be sad, but you know, it's a fast clock. I can also wait to play around days. I'm not really sure how smart that is. Because, like, Not Dead After All. 3rd bobble. No, 2nd bobble, sorry. I was just seeing it in 2 different zones. Ooh. No, we're jamming then. So, bam. Fury, Pitch Fable. Nuke that out of orbit. I am not dead after all. And then it comes back. We're not going to do any damage to things. And because the Wicked Roll thing works successfully, this is now a 4/4 and is out of range of Lightning Bolt. Hello and good luck. Sure. Do this. Bash in for 4. Oh, it just works. Beautiful. We're gonna go ahead and reanimate a DRC. We don't have a lot to do with it right now, but it is just an extra body in play, and the selection is nice. Bowmasters, sure, that's fine. Ooh. I may be punished for the reanimate based line of putting this in play. Opponent loses a life for that. So let's now swamp cycle this. I'll just pick up a Badlands, I guess. I don't think it particularly matters. Another reanimate. Hell yeah. Do I not get a nice little 3 card types for my own graveyard? Don't. So I have creature, sorcery, instant. Let's go bam. Reanimate a Fury. Ooh, that is a good card. Let's just leave that on top. Nuke my opponent's creatures. Ash in for 1. Opponent's at 8. I'm going to cast this just to help myself go wide of any blockers that my opponent might play. And then we have Molten Collapse to surveil again for the DRC. Yeah, that's fine. You can wasteland me. Land actually grows my creature. That's fine. We have Badlands to play this around days. Goodbye. And my opponent concedes. Well, this is working. We haven't thrown things yet, but we're winning games. Cards I can consider are essentially these 6. Some of the things in my deck are a little situational, like Colligan's Command can sometimes remove a relevant creature and sometimes not. I think I am just going to turn these 2 into more generic removal spells. And then from here, I'm not quite sure what I want to do. Like, I don't know how much I want to try to get free wins with Blood Moon. That is unclear to me. Playing an unestablished deck. I think I like the Not Dead after all. They're good against red removal. I think I give up this free win aspect and play 2 more removal spells alongside Magus of the Moon, which can at least attack. But it's possible. Just playing Blood Moon is better. No, let's do this. I think. Obviously not 100% sure here. Well, it does a thing. I can do like... I'm going to keep it. Because it just like... Chromebox, maybe Imprint, Moon, Troll Cycle, play Basic Swamp, Reanimate. Is just a relatively strong line. Let's do a Dazable Chromebox here. Since I just have 2 of them. I think I get rid of this. Let's Swamp Cycle. Get the basic. Play the basic. Cast the first Reanimate. Oh, the Surgical Extraction's so good. Because that blanks my follow-up Reanimate as well. Rough. Good sideboard card is good. So I can use a Fable to loot away Chromebox and Reanimate. And then hopefully stay on task. But Daze and Force of Will are very, very good against me right now. There's a follow-up Bauble. Milling of Bowmasters off the top. Which is actually good against the Fable in my hand. But I get wanting to put the extra creature type in the yard. Like that just innately makes sense to me. Get a basic with this. Mountain. And then jam the Fable. I don't think I am supposed to play this around days. I think I need to loot these cards away. Well, I am at least happy to take a Murktide Regent out of their hand. But I am sitting on a pile of cards that do nothing right now. What if we drew a Fury off the top, hey? Oh! Alright. Alright. Please don't have days. Oh my god, it worked. Oh my god, it worked. Holy shit. What a reversal of fortune. I mean, you can still just like play a Murktide Regent here, and it's pretty scary for me. But if you don't, we're gaming. This is a 3-turn clock. Like, it's disruptible via, like, a lightning bolt or shortly an unholy heat or whatever. My opponent doesn't have access to black mana right now. So they could have, like, some orcish Bowmaster Molten Collapse sorts of things stuck in their hand. Oh my god, what a draw. Now I just have an insurance policy for this Fury. And my opponent dies to it next turn. Okay. That's fine. There's black mana. The Ponder did not shuffle, so it presumably found Underground Sea. You would like to destroy my creature. Can't let you do that, Star Fox. Oh, this is so good. This is sweet. This is working. Okay, this opening hand only has colorless mana. This is not gonna do it. Use Simian Spirit Guide to Troll Cycle, get a Badlands, and Reanimate is a turn 1 troll on the play. Yeah, that's fine. You know, it's a little weird. It's not the way that you usually use a Spirit Guide, but here we are. If the remaining card in hand was a black card, this hand would have been clutch. We're hoping to dodge, like, white removal here. Chrome Mox Imprinting Ponder. Got a combo gamer on the other side, probably. Well, we have a fast clock. Turn 1 Ponder Shuffle is really good, though. What are we doing? Guy as well. All right, so we're doing Beseech nonsense. Understood. Bam. Put my opponent to 13. I think I just grief my opponent and assume that this probably gets there rather than trying to hardcast the grief next turn. Maybe that's not true. Because, like, casting the grief next turn changes the clock. Okay. I will cast grief next turn. And hopefully not die for that decision. Sure. Uh-oh. Sure. Yes. Okay. That is a Beseech. Is there a second Gaia's Will? Tendrils. Oh, fuck, but I'm just at a low life total. No, I apparently needed to grief. Got greedy. Paid the price for it. Okay. Maybe if I'm already, like, racing the Gaia's Will successfully, I just always grief there. IDK. Thoughtseize good. Null Rod good. Magus probably better than a Blood Moon effect. Pyroblasts and Fairies also playable. I have a lot of things I can do. I think K-Command is slow. I think I'm not fighting this game on the Blood Moon axis. Like, Thoughtseize and Null Rods come in first. Molten Collapse isn't particularly strong. Fairies I can still reanimate. Maybe I trim a Fury, do something that looks like this. I have a higher black card density for grief. This is turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 2 Fable to loot. This is fine. I wouldn't call it overly exciting, but it's fine. See what's going on over there. The Brainstorm is the best card in my opponent's hand. It's just a question of, like, am I willing to let them take my Fable, which is my best card, pretty easily? I think I am. Let's take the Brainstorm. Play this one with kind of perfect information. I think I am willing to let them take a Chrome Mox if they would like to do that instead. See. And Thoughtseize. Alright, I do lose the Fable. Another Fury. It's pretty mediocre. I think I just passed the turn here. Like, I could put a Fury under a Mox to Spirit Guide, but if I just draw another mana source, I can just play a Fury, which is a much, much swifter clock than the Spirit Guide. That's no shuffle. Well, that's another way to do this. Fury, pitch Fury, and not dead after all. Fury, pitch Spirit Guide? Nah. Fury, pitch Fury. Not dead after all this. And then it comes back with the Wicked roll. And at this point, I think I am going to go ahead and play Chrome Mox, imprint this Spirit Guide, just so I am not vulnerable to a discard spell. This deals 8 damage a turn, which is really good, but I currently have no disruption for my opponent, which means that I could reasonably die here. Chrome Mox. Let's dismiss those. Alright, yeah, there's Beseech. Oh, it's Song of Creation, so we may not be deterministically dead currently. My opponent can probably play a lot of stuff, and we'll just see where it goes. I'm going to do relevant updates. A few spells later, we are seeing a Burning Wish, and then cracking some LEDs for mana, and I am presumably dead to Tendrils of Agony here. And after we lost the Fable, we just couldn't quite put this one together, and I am dead. GG's. Yo, dog, I heard you like grief. Obviously a keep. I'm gonna pummel my opponent's hand here. And I also get to figure out whether or not I need to fetch a basic for the matchup, which I do. I think creature and removal spell are the things that I'm taking here. Maybe I don't fetch a basic, actually, with another Badlands just in hand already. Yeah, I've changed my mind. We are not dead after all. Now, this is still lightning boltable, but we do get to take another removal spell here. And my opponent is under a good amount of pressure, but I don't expect this grief to be game-winning. Like, my opponent has 3 cantrips in hand. They should find a lightning bolt. Yeah, no shuffle there. The grief is presumably answered, and then we'll try to do some cool stuff with Fable of the Mirrorbreaker a little bit later on. 15. Wasteland's fine. That's fine. I should have, strictly speaking, floated that mana. That's fine. You can lose a life. A troll. That's okay. That gets us to Fable next turn. All 4 card types in graveyard, just by the way. Alright, another mana source, and the Ponder. I guess there is this Daze to think about in regards to Fable. My opponent may or may not have just shuffled the Daze away. Let's cycle. Now that I have multiple mana sources, I will pick up a basic. Would I have shuffled away that Daze? Maybe. Like, if my opponent is expecting a super low to the ground deck with this sort of stuff, the answer is yes. I think since I just have a Grief that I can play next turn anyway, I am okay trading with Daze if my opponent still has it. And they do. But I don't know that I get to take a turn off. Like, if I take the turn off and my opponent just plays, you know, a Murktide Regent here, I am very, very, very far behind just instantly. Speak of the devil, and he shall appear. That's why I made the play that I did. Ah, 1 turn late. Brutal. Okay, how many outs do I have to this thing? 2x Molten Collapse? Or some weird broadside lines? Well, the grief isn't doing me any good right now. Let's see if we are a luck sack today. Ow. So, another Murktide hit plus a Lightning Bolt is lethal. Fable loots towards Molten Collapse, giving me some more looks. Oh, yeah, okay. That's fine. For giggles, is Molten Collapse up here? We would have drawn this, drawn 2. We would not have hit Molten Collapse. So I think Edict, Pyroblast, Magus are the things that are on the table for consideration. Like before, I'm not the biggest Culligan's Command fan. I think last time I did this. I decided not to attempt to go for the free wins. Wait, this doesn't math out. I kept 2 moons. I think I kept 2 moons. Well, there's one of them. I think this is fine. I think I keep this. So I think this is just land pass. And then I end of turn troll cycle into probably Grief, pitching Sheoldred's Edict, and attempting a Blood Moon. That just sounds like the plan. Because Blood Moon is kind of mid, but a Blood Moon backed by discard is kind of horrifying. Like, it's like a Blood Moon backed by Force of Will. It's not a thing that you normally see, and it is unholy. Grab basic. Swamp cycle for basic. Oh. So now I can pivot if I'd like. So I Grief, pitch Sheoldred's Edict, and then I get to decide how I play this game from here. So my opponent has no counterspells and is about to have no mana. I think I take this and just let this go and slam the moon. And I imprint the Not Dead After All. And there's the Blood Moon. Just getting to know whether or not that is about to work is a huge deal. I don't blame the opponent for scooping there. I think that's reasonable. Like, they're not dead. They have 2 removal spells to buy time, but they're very unlikely to win. Maybe I am supposed to go heavier on this than I am, but I am about to be on the draw where that is significantly less easy to do. This hand is fully, how much do I believe the top card of my deck is a black source, and I'm not going to play that game. No. We're going to be on 5. Wow, okay. This is not good. I think these have fully left the plan here. I do have a build your own Force of Will if I want it, but I'm going to try not to do that because I think I probably need to put this Spirit Guide under the Chrome box so I just have persistent mana. That's fine. Okay. Although slightly awkward because of the existence of the card Meltdown, I'm going to go ahead and play this out this turn. That way I can reb around a Daze or do both of these. That's a ponder. I might just trade here. This is not like a primo card like a Murktide Regent or anything. But in this spot where I am kind of woefully behind, making my opponent stumble and like stopping this from growing further or stopping them from finding a counterspell to back up what they're doing might just be a really huge deal. I'm just going to take this one. I'm fighting an uphill battle here. Mountain. Swamp cycle for basic. Fury's cool. Let's play this. Let's not get excited yet. My opponent gets to have priority and has a chance to bolt it before I can do cool boast shenanigans. So I don't get to kill this. Sacrificing my Chrome Mox to kill that is also pretty rough. Like, I have 3 drops in my deck that I would like to slam. With that Delver being surveilled to Yard, that's also the 4th card type. I'm taking 3 from here. I'm really feeling those 2 cards that I'm down right now. Ooh. I think this one is now very tough to win. I can see a line, though. Not involve that. The line involves... Well, I guess it does kind of involve that. So the line that wins me the game involves me getting a broadside in play. Like, I reanimate this, get through, deal 2 damage to my opponent, play Fury, kill one of these, and then throw the Fury at the other, and then that's a way that I can clear the board. My opponent is commenting that they don't really know how to sideboard against my deck since I have kind of so many weird plans, and honestly, that's very valid. Ooh. Okay, this is still fine. But like, Force of Will blue card over here is a disaster for me, and I think eliminates all outs that I have. Alright. Am I playing this the safe way, or playing this the way that maybe wins me the game? The safe way is just pitch this and play around Daze. But I think if I am going to realistically win this game, I could really use this body. So I'm going to greed it up here. This exposes this to Daze. There we go. I do not regret it. I will, however, at this stage. concede the game. GG's. I'm being tested today. I'm being tested. I don't really believe in Blood Moon only hands, but this is Blood Moon turn 1 on the play in an unknown matchup. Is that fine? With 2 Chrome Mox in play, so that any spell, any threat I rip off the top is just good to go. I have black and red mana. I'm going to say unhappy keep. Opponent's also on a mold of 6. Play both Chrome Moxes and imprint, and then jam the Blood Moon. It is a Once Upon a Time in response. Finding a basic forest. Daggers. And this is why you don't want like Blood Moon to be the only thing that your hand does. We'll just kind of see how damaging this is going to be. Oh, and a Noble Hierarch as well. That's rough. Could be playing against an Infect deck. Hitting the basic forest would be weird if that's the case, though. It's more likely. Oh, gross. That makes some of my cards like Fury considerably worse. I mean, that's not the worst. I do have to just like cycle it to find my next mana source, and that also gives me black mana for what that's worth. Note that conceptually a Blood Moon is very good against these sorts of decks. It's just unfortunate that they hit one of, I don't know, like 2-ish forests. Yeah, okay. At this point, I don't think I likely beat Atraxa, and I am comfortable conceding. That's fine. Like, the Blood Moon giveth and the Blood Moon taketh away. How it works. I am going to board more Magus of the Moon. Like, stopping Cradle is really important, and again, my opponent is not going to have that many basics. Sheoldred's Edict is okay. Thoughtseize is okay. The rest of this stuff is not really worth considering. Hopefully Broadside gets to show off in this matchup. I just, like, haven't drawn this card this league, really. I don't know how to board here. K-Command feels medium. It's going to miss important creatures. I think I'm going to go heavier on this stuff. And I'm not sure about these. I'm going to say that this configuration is okay for the draw, and I'll rethink, like, the Sheoldred's Edicts when I'm on the play. I don't think this hand really does anything. Like, I can Ancient Tomb, double Troll Cycle, reanimate one of them on my turn 2, but then I am down a considerable amount of life, and I'm going to lose more beyond that. I don't think that's a plan. Whereas this hand is fine. I'll keep this and junk 1 Troll. The overall plan here is Fury to wipe my opponent's board of their first couple of plays, and then bring it back with Not Dead. After all, I will have to draw a red card in order for that to happen. So we'll just kind of see where that goes. It is a fetch land, and I'll just cycle end of turn, picking up a Badlands. That is a perfectly reasonable draw. That gives me either a removal spell I can use, or the ability to pitch cast a Fury. Alright, no play, just fetching. Fetching Bayou at that. I guess if they have the opportunity to just fetch another basic immediately, it doesn't matter. Okay, we're just gonna chill and stare at each other. That makes my Fury worse. But I guess I'm just making a troll. You're gonna, like, Crop Rot into Bog? Yeah. Oh? The Dryad Arbor's that good? Am I supposed to just Fury Not Dead after all this? What the fuck does Crop Rot into Dryad Arbor immediately mean? Yeah, I think I'm supposed to do this. I have weird vibes. I don't know what's wrong, why it's wrong, but something is off here. Like, they showed me Bojuka Bog in game 1, too. That is a snuff out after Not Dead After All has resolved. That is not how you want to do that. So I think this is one of those times where I go, my opponent is either new to Legacy or new to this deck and doesn't quite know what they're doing. Because I think that was likely 2 different misplays in a turn cycle in a very, very, very bad way. Yeah. And then, like, they showed me more cards than they needed to. Like, I'd already seen this one, but, like, you know. They also, like, maybe didn't play around Blood Moon, because they fetched Bayou as well. So, yeah. I can board in up to 4 more removal spells if I am trying to control the board and remove every creature that comes down. I'm not really sure that that's the plan, though. I think I'm just going to keep this, like, 12 things that can come out very quickly, plus some Blood Moons to stop my opponent from green for natural order. Yeah, this is fine. So, Badlands, Chrome Mox, Not Dead After All, Troll Cycle, Reanimate, turn 2 Blood Moon, following it up. That's very strong. What you got? This time it's Basic Forest. Into Reclaimer. Molten Collapse is cool. I don't think I do that this turn, especially with Blood Moon just coming on turn 2. So, Not Dead After All. Swamp Cycle. Basic Swamp. Turn 1 Reanimate Troll. I'm at 14 with a very powerful clock in play that does not get answered by Snuff Out. And I also get to just follow up with very, very likely Blood Moon to stop my opponent from doing good things with Cradle. Or stopping utility lands from mattering. So my opponent is passing, presumably with Elvish Reclaimer activations up. This is a good turn. This is a good turn. Opponent takes 6. I think I just throw down the moon this turn and do the cool thing next turn. I think that is just the plan. Like, I can grief now and stop something like a Force of Vigor from answering the Blood Moon, but then I don't get to bring it back with Not Dead After All, which I feel like is kind of a big deal. There's black mana. There goes black mana. This is now a 3/4. That gets a basic mountain. And I think I just passed the turn. There is the Force of Vigor that I thought could happen. Pitching a Fiend Artisan. Oh, this is okay. Like, I still just have Grief, Not Dead After All, Grief to stop a natural order from coming down and swinging this game in my opponent's favor. And I can pivot into Molten Collapse if I need to. And my opponent is just on a 2-turn clock. Presumably in a way that's not super answerable. Yes, Ojigabog off Elvish Reclaimer is a thing. That is a Green Sun. Finding another Reclaimer. This is all fine. So, if I attack and my opponent multi-blocks, I kill 2, Molten, Collapse the last one, and Not Dead After All the Troll. Which seems sweet. Oh, it's happening! Oh, it's not happening. Alright, my opponent takes the 6. Goes to 5. I'm just thinking if there's any possible way I want to Molten Collapse a creature and just grief once. I don't think there is. I don't know. Grief once takes natural order if that's my opponent's last card. Molten Collapse kills a creature they can't block next turn unless they top deck a creature. This is actually surprisingly tough. The 5 life versus 4 life is kind of a big deal here. Although I guess if the grief dies, that is lethal. The grief can't be blocked and killed. If I kill a creature, my opponent still has 4 mana for a top-decked natural order, and I basically don't beat that. Maybe I do sometimes. Timestamp this, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Because I could sit here and think about this for 10 minutes, but I'm just going to play my cards. Alright, take Green Sun, and Not Dead After All this creature. Opponent doesn't have Elvish Reclaimer mana available currently, so this works. Grief comes back with the Wicked Roll. I think my opponent needs to top deck natural order. Alright, my opponent has passed the turn, so I guess like show me an endurance or something of that general ilk. Yeah, okay. So this does require a triple block on the troll. I think I want this one in graveyard, so if I draw a reanimate, I can reanimate that and shrink these. I don't know that this gets my opponent out of their spot, though, because they go to 1, and then as soon as Grief dies, they're dead. Like, Grief is unblockable in that it cannot die or my opponent is dead. So I think we're back in this, like, you need a natural order. Yeah, you can swing at me with Exalted. That's fine. I guess they could destroy the Wicked Roll token. Did you actually draw the natural order? A green sun. They could destroy the Wicked Roll. No, I guess that doesn't work, does it? Okay. Yes. Would you like to destroy my Grief? And put the Wicked Roll token into the graveyard and kill yourself? Apparently you would. Well, that was a weird end to this league. I think my opponent made a lot of missteps in this league, but we were playing a weird brew. It's not surprising that people wouldn't know what to do against this deck. So, overall thoughts on the deck list. Surprisingly solid. Like, we didn't play against a lot of white removal today that would have made Not Dead After All significantly worse. We ended up 3-2 in this league. I can have another game against the Beseech Storm deck if I do decide to Grief, which I do maybe think was correct in retrospect. The core idea here is solid, and like obviously this is drawing on information from other formats, especially Modern. I like the cards that are in this deck list. We didn't really draw Broadside today. You know, we just kind of played 5 rounds without really drawing this card. Conceptually, there were plenty of spots where if I drew it, we would have spun the game on a dime and done some very, very powerful things. Molten Collapse had a good showing today. We did not do the descend both modes portion ever. We didn't need to. Like, it just being terminate with some upside that could imprint under our Chrome Mox for both of our colors and pitch to all these things was like perfectly reasonable. Blood Moon backed by Grief is some shit, folks. That is very strong. Like, again, normally when you're playing a Blood Moon deck, you're usually in mono red or Boros most of the time, where you don't get to disrupt the hand or impact the stack. And here, where we could disrupt the hand maybe multiple times before dropping a Blood Moon, it's very, very impactful. Maybe part of the reasons why we didn't like see Broadside today is just because like we didn't need to. And like this stuff, when it was working, was just ending the games before we got to this mid-range game where throwing this or using this to throw things at our opponent's face would have been strong. I actually don't even think we ever looted with Fable. Now that I'm thinking about it. Fable maybe resolved once. Maybe that says something. Like, maybe this deck could be even lower to the ground than it already is. Maybe this deck wants just 4 fucking Magus of the Moon in the main deck over Fables or something. I don't know, the Fables are another way to put big creatures into the graveyard, though, and loot through some of the dead stuff. I think there's something here. I think there is a reasonable, you know, maybe tier 2 or so legacy shell here. I don't know that it's going to be more consistent or better than other things that exist in the format, but like the power level is very clearly here with this deck. And this was fun to play. Like, this was some enjoyable Magic, and I hope you all enjoyed watching. As always, if you need any of these cards, check out Cool Stuff Inc. and use promo code ThrabenU to save 5% on your next order. And this deck list is available in the video description if you end up wanting to take it for a spin on your own. Folks, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya!